Britain, I know you want this sorted, so I will go to Brussels, I will not take no for an answer, and when it comes to free movement, I will get what Britain needs.
Having staked everything on his renegotiation, Cameron arrived at the final summit determined to stop the other leaders from watering down a deal which was already proving unpopular at home.
Hi, good afternoon. Well, we've got some important work to do today and tomorrow, and it's going to be hard.
After an uninterrupted 26 hours, the talks had reached a standstill. The British team went back to their delegation room to take stock.
David Cameron had a bad back at the time, and one way of dealing with it was just lying down on the floor. And I was flicking through my phone looking at messages, and then suddenly news came through that the German delegation was coming and that they were going to be here in less than a minute.
The German office was next to the British office at the time, and so the German Chancellor then, quite spontaneously, without that being particularly announced, just went next door and said,
David here. We both jumped up and we started clearing up, and Angela Merkel came in, and I remember her sitting down opposite me, and she looked like she was finally ready to do business and that she'd really focused on this.
They just talked about this. You know, how do you see this? Do you think it's going to be enough? As the head of the government, you get a sense of how much room for maneuver the other one has. What are the touchy areas?
David Cameron said to her, look, unless you can actually give me what I'm asking for, if it's perceived that we're watering this down yet again, then I'm just going to face a barrage of criticism and it's going to be a real serious problem. And at that moment, Angela Merkel turned to her aide and said, what is barrage? And David Cameron immediately jumped in and said, blitzkrieg. And at that moment, everybody thought, don't mention the war, that's probably not the best thing to do. But they all started laughing, and she looked at him as if he was a bit of a naughty schoolboy. And she suggested that she was prepared to say yes to this.
But Cameron and the Eastern Europeans were still deadlocked. With time running out, the president of the European Council stepped in.
The Czech Prime Minister said, sorry, Donald, but this is unacceptable. Maybe not for me, but for the whole eastern part of Europe. And I said, okay, it's your choice, but you have to be aware that without this emergency break, David has no chance to win the referendum. Aha.
We understood that either we change it now, and we help him come home with something tangible, or that we kill it completely.
He reacted in a very, responsible way, and they accepted my proposal.
Cameron had his deal.